were so excited about getting airborne, they forgot one of the fundamental rules of ground-based warfare.
When I was an infantry instructor, I said it 1,000 times too. You never want to walk like on top of a ridge. Now you're skyline, and everybody and their brother shooting at you.
They're popping up here. Shoot me! No, shoot me!
Faced with the prospect of becoming an airborne version of whack-a-mole, the Navy quietly abandoned the Harbor platform. Weird warriors may not have conquered the air, but ever since man first fired a bow and arrow, they dreamed of a missile that would know where it was going, get past any obstacle, and outwit any defense. But before the ICBM, before lasers and satellites and computers, man's ingenuity would use other things, like pigeons and cats, and even creating a solution out of thin air. Back in World War II, the Japanese had an audacious plan to bomb America. Not Pearl Harbor, mainland America. But their bombers weren't capable of flying across the Pacific. So they came up with a crazy plan. Balloons. The idea was simple. Put a balloon in the air, stick a bomb on it, float it across the Pacific, and hope it hits America. But how do you float it in the right direction?
There's no GPS, because there's no satellites in space. There's no laser-guided weapons, because the laser hasn't been invented yet. So what do you do?
That didn't bother the Japanese, because they had an ace up their sleeve. They would use the power of nature, the jet stream.
No one suspected the existence of the jet stream, apart from the Japanese at the time.
The jet stream is a current of air, 30,000 feet up, circling the globe at up to 250 miles an hour. It flows west to east, from Japan directly to America.
The jet stream over Japan is very, very, very strong.
Which is why flights from Tokyo to LA with the jet stream take under 10 hours, while the trip back against the jet stream takes over 11 hours. The Japanese were certain that the jet stream would carry their balloons all the way to the United States. Only problem is, the jet stream over the Pacific is less than 3 miles thick, and balloons aren't particularly prone to level flight. This is because the gases inside contract in the cold and expand in warm air, pushing the balloon out of the jet stream.
You have to find a way of keeping your balloon in the fast wind to get it across all the way to America.
But, as this U.S. Air Force film shows, the Japanese had thought of everything.
There's quite a lot of cunning technology which went into this.
At night, as the balloon cools down and contracts, it sinks out of the jet stream. So the Japanese rig it to fire off ballast to maintain the correct altitude. In the daytime, the balloon warms up and rises again. So it vents the expanded hydrogen to stop the ascent. It worked. Though the bombs took 3 days to cross the Pacific, the Japanese had invented an ICBM, the Intercontinental Balloon Missile.
By the standards of the day, this was a fantastic feat.
The Japanese had come up with a bomb delivery system that could cross the Pacific, and actually launched it at North America. That sounds really impressive until you realize one simple thing. Between November 1944 and April 1945, Japan targeted over 9,000 balloon bombs at the USA, but only 300 are known to have fallen on American soil.
You've got to be completely honest. This is not a guided weapon. You're hoping that nature takes it the right direction.
As a terror weapon, it worked. The balloons did hit America. As this rare footage shows, they fell from Alaska to Texas, to California and Detroit. But not a single balloon hit a major strategic target.
One cannot think of a more random weapon.
If you want to hit a target at more than 30 paces, you need a guidance system. And in the days before computers, that meant you had to get inventive. During World War II, some scientists in the US Navy were really inventive. They thought they had the perfect device.
The cat-guided bomb was an idea that, again, this is one of these things that sound ludicrous.
But the thinking behind it was simple.
Cats hate water. So the Navy said, well, gee whiz, we can put this to use.
This is what the renegade researchers came up with. The cat is strapped in a harness inside the bomb, which is then dropped from high altitude over the enemy ship.
Because the cat doesn't want to get wet, it will try to guide the bomb onto the ship.
As the cat twists and turns, the harness is designed so that the cat moves the tail fin to steer the bomb directly at the Japanese ship. Unsurprisingly, the idea didn't work for two simple reasons. First, cats aren't afraid of water. And even more importantly,
the bomb generated so much G-force on the cat that the cat was rendered unconscious, so your guidance system was wiped out immediately.
The cat-guided bomb sank without a trace.
If somebody came up to me and said, listen, we're going to use cats to guide missiles, to drop it on a ship because cats don't like water, I'd probably punch you right in the face and say you're an idiot.
It was becoming clear that cats were not ideal as bomb guidance systems. By 1943, the U.S. Navy was desperate for some device that could bomb mainland Japan. Their solution was the brainchild of Dr. Lytle S. Adams, part-time fiendish inventor, full-time dentist. He plans to bomb Japan using that. In 1941, Dr. Lytle Adams was visiting the Batcave of Carlsbad Cavern when he heard the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor. The two events fused in his mind, and he came up with a cunning plan.
A bat bomb? Are you out of your mind?
But Adams isn't totally nuts. He's done the math.
There are two ways to get 15 kilotons on a target. One, you can drop one atomic bomb, 15 kilotons, no problem. The other way to do it is you use 1 million bats with half an ounce of incendiary on them, or high explosive, same effect, 15 kilotons.
Adams had thought everything through. Bats have an inbuilt guidance system, acoustic sensors. They carry their young in flight, so they're strong enough to carry explosives. They like to roost under building roofs, and Japanese buildings were mostly made of wood, bamboo, and paper, perfect for setting fire to. It all makes perfect sense.
You get a big fire going with 1 million bats, you're going to incinerate the city.
It's a weird combination of logic and insanity. The idea might have died, except one of his patients was married to a very powerful man.
Franklin D. Roosevelt said that this man is not a nut.
I don't find it amazing that the president decided to go ahead with this. I think that they needed to try anything. And if the science showed that it could work and the tests showed that it worked, what do you got to lose?
A $2 million research and development program gets underway. To make the tiny bat bombs, Adams uses a secret new invention, a jelly explosive called napalm. The Air Force will drop hundreds of containers, letting loose 1,000 bats at a time. Each bat would carry a half-ounce napalm charge clipped to its chest, rigged with a timer. Once the napalm detonated, it would burn very fiercely and turn to liquid. The flames would pour into every crack and crevice. He was going to turn Tokyo into a firestorm.
The bat bomb worked. It absolutely worked. There was no question about it. It worked.
In August 1943, the bat bombs unleashed the firestorm of Adams' dream. Unfortunately, this isn't Tokyo. It's a U.S. military base in Carlsbad, New Mexico, where the bats are being trained.
The bats were accidentally released and they immediately went to the base where they were working from and decided to, roost and destroy the entire base.
Thanks to the bats, the American air base burned to the ground. When it comes to guided weapons, whether balloons or bats, weird sometimes works. And as we'll see, an animal guidance system could work really well if the animal could be trained to go in the right direction and it didn't black out in midair. The answer was simple: the pigeon.
If somebody says to you, pigeon-guided missile, the first thing you say is, what? It doesn't make any sense. Pigeons come home. Wrong place for a missile.
But genius sees things differently. At the height of World War II, the Allies needed a guidance system that could target enemy warships. They found the answer in Harvard, and it was truly weird. Meet B.F. Skinner, Harvard professor and world authority on human and animal behavior.
B.F. Skinner was one of the great minds in psychology.
He actually pioneered positive and negative reinforcement, the basis of all animal training.
Skinner was probably the greatest psychologist of the 20th century. Some people think Sigmund Freud was, but he was really a neurologist.
After years of studying animals in the lab, Skinner discovered a priceless military secret. If a smart weapon needs a smart pilot, then pigeons are the top guns. They have exceptional eyesight. Their brains can process visual information 3 times faster than a human. And, most importantly, They can be trained.
They're very